You ever wonder why you just click with some people, right? It's easy, it flows, but then with others, it feels like a constant uphill battle? Well, it turns out there's this kind of invisible blueprint that's guiding all of our connections. And today, we are going to make it visible. I mean, it's a question we've all asked ourselves, right? In our friendships, our family, and especially our romantic lives. These patterns, they just feel so automatic, like they were part of who we are. So where do they actually come from? Well, psychologists have a name for it, our attachment style. The best way to think about it is like an emotional operating system. It gets programmed way back in our childhood based on our first relationships, and then it just runs in the background for the rest of our lives, shaping how we trust, how we love, and how we handle getting close to people. So generally speaking, this blueprint sends us down one of three main paths. And as we go through them, just kind of ask yourself, hey, does one of these sound a little familiar? Okay, first up, we've got secure attachment. This is really the path of emotional balance. If this is you, you're comfortable with intimacy, you're comfortable getting close, but you also really value your own space and independence. Relationships feel like a safe harbor, not a prison. I love this metaphor, emotional gymnasts. It's so perfect, right? It captures that flexibility, that ability to lean on someone when you need to, but also be a rock for them in return, all without completely losing your own center of gravity. It's a real dance. All right, next we have the anxious path. For folks with this style, the engine is really running on a deep-seated fear of abandonment. And that fear creates this almost desperate need for closeness, for reassurance, just to quiet down that voice that says, am I good enough? Are they going to leave? So, what does this actually look like? Well, it means you're like a smoke detector for relationship problems, super sensitive to any hint of trouble. Let's say your partner takes a few hours to text back. For someone who's secure, they might not even notice. But if you have an anxious style, your brain can just explode with worry. What did I do? Are they mad at me? It's over. It's not about being dramatic. It's your attachment alarm system blaring. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. We're so quick to label these behaviors as clingy or needy, but really, it's just a strategy to get a fundamental need met, the need to feel safe and secure that the connection is still there. And that brings us to our third path, avoidant attachment. Now, this one is kind of the mirror image of anxious. Where the anxious person craves closeness to feel safe, the avoidant person sees independence as their shield. Getting vulnerable feels incredibly dangerous, so they keep people at arm's length to protect themselves. You gotta love this porcupine analogy. It's just so vivid. It perfectly captures that push-pull. Deep down, of course, there's a desire for connection. We're all human. But those protective quills, all those emotional defenses, go up the second someone gets too close. So what's this emotional armor made of? Well, it means pushing down your own feelings so you never have to seem needy. And it also means using what researchers call deactivating strategies. This is fascinating. It's like if a partner is getting too close for comfort, the avoidant person might start mentally picking them apart, focusing on their flaws, the way they talk, anything to create a little bit of distance and turn down the volume on that intimacy. Okay, so we've got these three different paths. But so what? Does this stuff actually impact our overall happiness? Well, the science on this is pretty clear. A big study just last year by Sagone and her team looked at this exact question. And what they found was a really strong, direct connection between someone's attachment style and their general psychological well-being. So this isn't just about your love life. This is about your fundamental sense of happiness. And they found some really interesting differences when they compared single people to people in relationships. For example, the singles in the study were more likely to say they felt uncomfortable with closeness and that they saw relationships as less important than, say, their career. You hear that? Those are hallmarks of that avoidance style we just talked about. And they also reported being slightly less happy overall. And here's what that looks like in the data. On a scale for psychological well-being, people in a stable relationship scored around a 79.4, while singles scored around a 77.4. Now look, that's not some massive life-shattering gap, but it is a real statistically significant difference. And it suggests that having those stable, secure relationships really can act as a buffer for our mental and emotional health. So you're probably thinking, how in the world do you measure something as squishy and complicated as attachment? It seems impossible. Well, let's take a quick peek behind the curtain at how they actually do it. They use these really clever tools, like the attachment style questionnaire, which basically maps our inner world across these 5 key areas. And this is where it all clicks together, you see? Someone with that anxious style, They're going to score high on preoccupation with relationships and need for approval. The avoidant style, they'll be high in discomfort with closeness, and seeing relationships is secondary. And that secure style? You guessed it, high on confidence and low on pretty much everything else. It's like a compass for our emotional blueprint. Okay, now, after hearing all that, you might have recognized yourself in one of the insecure styles, and you might be feeling a little bummed out. But please, listen up, because this is the most important part of this whole thing. Your attachment style is not a life sentence. There's this incredibly hopeful concept in psychology called earned security. And the whole idea is that even if your story started out on an anxious or an avoidant path, you can actually actively earn your way to a secure attachment style. Earning your security is all about transformation. It's about looking at those old patterns, understanding where they came from, and then making a conscious choice to forge new paths in your brain, to build new, healthier habits for how you connect with the people you care about. So as we wrap this up, the real question isn't, what style am I stuck with? The real question is, how can I start moving towards security? Maybe for you, that one small step is sharing a feeling you'd normally keep inside. Or maybe it's just trusting someone for 5 more minutes than you're comfortable with. So I'll leave you with this. What is one small step you can take today?